Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another Watchman Report on this Monday, June 15th, 2026. This is your host, Marco Ponce of BeingJustified.com, back after a 3-week break. Much needed, thanks, Lord. Otherwise, we are here to talk about the number one thing that got announced over this most recent weekend and on the 80th birthday of Jesuit-educated Donald J. Drumpf. And as you can see on our thumbnail, this man is busy. Don't forget, we're on Operation Warp Speed to the end. And as you can see on our thumbnail, if you have not heard it already, Trump has the Iran deal all signed. Now, it has been told to us that it has already been digitally signed, but we are going to get the details of it and a ceremonial signing in Geneva, Switzerland coming up on Friday. So I look forward to seeing that. And any mention of Saudi Arabia and the Abraham Accords, because we are going to get to something that really caught my attention while I was away. Because while I was away, I took note how Donald Trump wants the Iran war finished, but tied to the Arab nations in the region joining the Abraham Accords, namely Saudi Arabia. And if you're new to the reports, my name is Marco. I have been around publicly with these reports, proving all things, rightly dividing the word of truth since 2020, that the beast and prince of the covenant and little horn is Mohammed bin Salman of the kingdom of Esau, Arabia. He's an Edomite rebuilding the land of Edom as per Malachi 1:4 that they call Neom in northwestern Saudi Arabia. But when Esau, Mohammed bin Salman is Edom. And when he does that deal with Jacob coming up.
It's the final countdown.
And later at the end of the report, we're going to play for you a new song that people have shown me that is called Spring Summer 26, When the World Will End. All right, it looks to be, we are in the window right now, where the deal will happen. 42 months later, the beast is killed and resurrected, and Judas, the son of perdition and 8th king of Revelation 17, will ascend from the bottomless pit to rule the world for 40 and 2 months, the last half of the tribulation. All of it is at the door. So with all that said, welcome to the Watchman Report. Now, before we get started, I wanted to cover a new testimonial that was just recently left on one of our YouTube channels. Don't forget, we have multiple YouTube channels because they have deleted my channels multiple times, and I was able to get some back. So this is on one of them, but we do have Trinity Fire Girl saying the following as of late on our look ahead into 2026. This is an annual special report that we do at the beginning of the year. And she said the following: I just found you today. Please do more videos, especially about Judas. Very interested in his part in the end times. Very good stuff. Amen. Don't forget, a wicked messenger falleth into mischief. That is the majority out there. But a faithful ambassador is health to your eternal soul, as we prove all things, rightly divide, and connect the dots. All right. Like I said in the live chat right now, I don't see myself having many more reports left. We're almost there, guys. I am totally in this sort of moment where I'm just like, that's it, man. It's here. We're about to do it. The end is soon about to start. And when that happens, I am no longer going to be out here as an evangelist because I know the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. There's nobody else coming into the body of Christ. And then I will go away from the Watchman Report and only fellowship with like-minded believers that I'm already doing so with right now. All right, so I see myself as not many more reports left. So with whatever's left, enjoy it, take it in. But like I said, the real big grunt work that we do here is to help you understand what is at the door, to get your name in the book of life, to get in our free Bible school, to store up sound Bible doctrine. All right, and if you'd like, you could always reach out and we can fellowship when the tribulation is in progress. All right, it has not happened yet, but we're almost there. Now, let's cover some of the big updates for today because, like I said, I've been gone for 3 weeks, but we're going to cover some of the big ones that really hit me as I was away, but also what we recently experienced over the weekend, with the big news being that Trump has the deal with Iran done. It's done. They said it's already digitally signed. They're just going to have a ceremony on Friday, and we're going to get the details on Friday. But as I was away, like I told you, Trump is tying this Iran war to the Abraham Accords, which looks to be the covenant that the prince of the covenant, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, whose name equals 666, that looks to be it. That when MBS from Saudi Arabia joins the Abraham Accords to confirm the covenant Abraham Accords, that is the deal. It's one man MBS doing one peace deal with one nation, Israel. It's MBS doing an Israeli peace deal that starts the tribulation for Daniel 9:27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Now, that's Israel's final 70th week. Now, second of all, we're going to cover how we already talked about the deal was digitally signed. And we're going to get to that movie that came out from Steven Spielberg. Very timely in regards to the last film that I produced for last year on the Great Tribulation called 3 Unclean Spirits. Because also, over the weekend, I was able to check out the latest film from Steven Spielberg, which is just a massive propaganda piece for the alien devil frogs of Revelation 16. And he literally said that this event with aliens will unite the world. And that's exactly what I've been saying for almost 7 years publicly here, pursuant to Revelation 16, that there are 3 unclean spirits that look like frogs, the alien grays, that are really the spirits of devils, that gather the world, unite the world, to do what though? To fight the Lord Jesus Christ at his return, when he returns in flaming fire, taking vengeance. Now, those are going to be the big updates for today. So stick around, and thank you for your patience. I did see some people reaching out saying that I look forward to you coming back. One person even said, your 3 weeks are over. Come back now. So here I am. But before we also proceed, I wanted to share with you a little bit of my personal life. I tend to do that whenever I'm away. But you can see here some of the photos that I was able to take while on my trip in chronological order from left to right like this. So left to right, and I can go through some right now. These are just some of my favorite landscape photos, because if you're not aware, I'm a little bit of a photo bug, a photographer, and you can see here. These are my favorite landscape photos that I was able to capture while on my trip. You know what? I practice what I preach. I know the end of the world is about to start, and I'm just redeeming the time and taking advantage of whatever time we got left before sudden destruction cometh. Remember, like we're going to read about with Donald Trump coming up with this Iran deal. When they shall say peace and safety, we know this is the time. Sudden destruction is coming. And if you're new to the report, the sudden destruction I think is really going to hit is when over 70% of the world endures what they call the supernova singularity event, where COVID AI is going to take over. Okay? Like a hijack. Don't forget that other song.
I'ma take control like a hijack. Leave the lights on when the night is done. Meet me in the back cause I like that. I'ma stack it up, put you one by one. Like
by one, okay? That COVID AI is going to take over with what they call the singularity or the supernova event, like that song says. Supernova. That's the sudden destruction. And we're going to know pretty soon why we are seeing all these festivities in America, with the World Cup, with the New York Knicks winning, with the UFC at the White House. Why do you think America is going America 250? Because It's going to be a much different time coming up, and they know that. I can guarantee you Donald Trump knows what's coming and when it's coming. He just can't tell us because Satan is in the surprise business. But now, let's cover some of these photos because, like I said, this is my road trip that I have dubbed the America 250 road trip, where I have gone from the Midwest. I went through the Rocky Mountain National Park, then I went to Arches National Park, then I went to Bryce National Park, then I went to Zion National Park. Here goes the Watchman. This is a mountain in Zion National Park that they call the Watchman, a perfect mountain for someone like myself, okay? An ambassador in Christ's stead, watching and connecting the dots. As commanded, by the way, the Lord says in Thessalonians, therefore let us not sleep, but let us watch for the second coming and be sober. My wife was like, that's your mountain right there, the Watchman. And after Zion, we went to Grand Teton National Park. This was my favorite stop in the tour of the America 250 National Park road trip, okay? Grand Tetons was amazing this time around because I was able to not only catch a lot of beautiful scenery, but also a lot of beautiful wildlife. Namely, I finally got to capture pictures of a mama bear with 3 cubs. It was beautiful. Now, here goes Grand Tetons National Park with Jackson Lake right there. And then after that, I went up to Yellowstone in the north to catch the Riverside Geyser right there that goes off every 7 hours. So that was pretty cool. And then here you see a bunch of geysers in the background with a big herd of elk in the foreground. So that was a lot of fun. It really encapsulates America's first national park called Yellowstone. Now, let's continue because on my road trip, I also was able to capture a lot of beautiful wildlife photos with my camera. Here is a male moose. Here we have a male elk in the water. And then as I was going up through Utah, I was finally able to catch wild horses. I mean, that was wild. Because they don't look like your average horses. They look a lot more raggedy, by the way. But then as I was starting to get into Grand Tetons, one of the wonderful little surprises was a baby moose that I was able to catch on the side of the road. I have never seen a baby moose until this trip, or able to even capture one on camera. But then also, I started to see the grizzly bears. There's this particular young female grizzly that they call Miracle or Solo in Grand Tetons. And then I was also able to capture another grizzly bear mama called Bonita with her 3 grizzly cubs. And then I was able to capture this unknown grizzly as I was leaving towards Yellowstone. And while I was in Yellowstone, this is something that I also have never bared witness to, and that is 2 black bears mating in the distance. I couldn't even believe it. I've seen it all at this point. Now, I was also then able to get this beautiful bison shot where it was looking at me very majestically, as you can see right there. Now, I will say my highlight of the whole trip was when I was at the Grand Tetons, and I was on a particular trail by Coulter Bay in the middle of the park. It's by a marina. And while on this particular trail, I came across this. It looked like a juvenile cinnamon colored black bear. And the reason why you can see this photo of me in the background right there trying to grab my son, who is 7 years old at the time, I wanted to make sure he was behind me if this bear started to charge, because it just so happened that there was a lady with her daughter, and the daughter was able to hear this bear. They turned around, spotted it, then saw us, and then told us with their hand gesture to stop. Don't move. And that's when I knew it was a bear. I just thought it was another bear that they said was in the area, which was a baby grizzly. But when this popped out, it was quite the shock. But I did tell the lady, thank you. I would have ran straight into this bear coming out the trail there. And that could have probably led to an attack. That's how attacks happen, by the way. People collide, the bear gets surprised and attacks. So in this particular case, I told the lady thank you, and I said, you are most definitely heaven sent, because I was on a collision course with this bear on that trail. And then I asked her, do you have any video of the incident? She's like, no, but I have photos. So I said, please airdrop that to me. And that's how you are able to see this photo of a black bear in the foreground and myself in the background. So that was definitely the highlight of the trip. As you can see, I almost got attacked by a black bear. A good sized black bear, by the way. But also, as we headed out of Zion, one of my other personal favorite shots is this one. At Zion National Park in Utah, they have a particular mountain figure called the Great White Throne. That is from the Bible, from Revelation 20:15, where people that die in their sins after the second resurrection will stand before the Great White Throne, before they're cast into the lake of fire. And what I was able to capture here is at the base of this particular metal, they have a bunch of wheat and tares. I mean, I'm like, this is absolutely biblical. So let me get a good shot of the wheat and the tares in the foreground and the Great White Throne in the background. But truly, it's only going to be the tares that go. The non-believers, the people that die in their sins, are the tares that are going to grow together for the end of the world. Remember, the harvest is the end of the world. The wheat are the Lord's people, and the tares are the devil's people. Okay? And here are, just think of it like this. Look at this picture. It's very biblical. Here are the tares before the Great White Throne. All right, that was personally, as a biblical image, I was like, this one's really good. Now, as we concluded the trip, to finish up all these national parks on our America 250 road trip, we had to stop by South Dakota, where I was able to get some good nighttime photography photos of Mount Rushmore. So, quite the time. And then I came back home to get a little bit of a rest, because I then went east to the White House for the UFC event, where I have my shirt on right now. UFC Freedom 250, to cap off my road trip for America 250. And at the same time, while I was in Washington, you could see me throwing up the 666 right there before the obelisk, which they call the Washington Monument. Again, if you're new to the reports, remember, we've already covered this many times. But the obelisk, this Washington Monument, is 555 feet tall. And in inches, that is 6660 inches tall. It's a monument, all right, not to Washington, but it's a monument to the beast, who will be killed and risen. One goes down, one comes up. And while I was in Washington, as you could see, I was also at the theater to check out Disclosure Day with the big AI right there, the all-seeing AI, a singular I. But either way, while I was also away, I remember doing a report where we talked about the reflection pool before the Washington Monument that was being renovated. But what caught my attention is how it is 2,030 feet long. Well, you know who highlighted that recently as a big slap in the face? After I do this particular report, we got Donald Trump at the White House, straight up giving you those numbers in your face. He says, our pool is bigger than skyscrapers. Take note that the current World Trade Center, after the Twin Towers came down, remember, 2 towers became 0 and then became 1. 2 souls into 1. As we dance in the midnight sun coming up. Remember, Edom and Judas are the 2 souls coming into one body. But you can see here, he highlights this number too, 1776, when America and the Illuminati was founded. But also, we also have this here, where as we reported, we came out with a report before Donald Trump did this, and then Donald Trump does this. Because here it is, in your face, 2030. That's letting you know, and I am fully persuaded at this point, that by 2030, in the year 2030, we are going to hit the middle of the tribulation, where Judas is going to ascend from the bottomless pit to enter the sword-slain body of Edom the beast, Mohammed bin Salman. And it's going to be Edom and Judas coming together in one body as we dance in the midnight sun. Okay, don't forget that song that we've played before. So again, as you see what's happening in America, you see all these festivities. I'm here to tell you, Donald Trump knows what's coming. He's going out with a bang. He's trying to have fun before everything collapses with the sudden destruction that's coming. And with all that said, you know, we still have the World Cup going on between America, Mexico, and Canada. But I am very confident when I tell you this. The world is going to be much different by 2030. And most likely, we are bearing witness to the final World Cup, okay? The tribulation looks to be starting this year. And then by 2030, we're going to hit the middle of the tribulation, okay? And I can guarantee you, when we hit the midnight hour, we're not going to be worried about no stupid World Cup. I'll tell you that much, okay? And then take note, Saudi Arabia, home to the beast, Mohammed bin Salman, who is deceived by the pride of his heart. Remember, the pride of Esau's heart has deceived him, the book of Obadiah says. And here goes 2034, where Saudi Arabia thinks that they are going to host the World Cup. I'm here to tell you, the Lord is most likely going to be back by that time, okay? There's going to be no World Cup in Saudi Arabia. He is deceived. We've already covered that when it was announced. Okay, now, another thing that happened, by the way, over the time that I was gone, is we had that particular horse that I've covered before that won the Kentucky Derby. He also won the Belmont Stakes, okay? And his name is Golden Tempo. And we showed you how the win with the Kentucky Derby in relation to the trainer's birthday numerology. It ties into the eclipse of the century coming up on August 2nd, 2027. But another funny thing has happened here. With the latest win of this horse, we do see Golden Tempo winning with two different numbers. In the Kentucky Derby, this particular horse, it won with the number 19. And then with the Belmont, it won with the number 9. So let's do a little math here. 19 plus 9 equals what? 28, the perfect number, okay? Don't forget, 28 plus 28 equals 56, like the amount of time Satan is in the Word of God. But you could also write August 2nd, 2027 as 2/8/2027, when the eclipse of the century is going to occur, when I also believe the singularity will also happen. And many are going to wake up a zombie, don't forget.
We're about to be up all night, waking up a zombie. So put your paws all over me, you zombie boy. You zombie boy.
That's Lady Gaga with her recent album with a song called Zombie Boy. And she says a lot of people are going to wake up a zombie. Because don't forget, the eclipse of the century coming up, it's going to start here in America at 4 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, now take note, this particular horse, it did not win the Triple Crown because it missed out on one of the 3 races, which was the Preakness. And what I also found very interesting is that this horse, it missed out on the Preakness, which is one of the Triple Crown races. But notice, it was Preakness number 151. And on the eclipse of the century, it's going to leave 151 days left in the year. And if you think this is all by coincidence, go back to sleep. Remember, 151 is also the 36 prime number. And the number of the beast, 666, is the 36 triangular. Okay? So keep these things in mind. But again, when I see Golden Temple winning like this by the numbers and alluding to the eclipse of the century, well, it's giving me more confidence in the fact that the eclipse of the century is when the supernova COVID AI singularity is going to occur. Don't forget, singularity means when AI and man become one. And you know what? When I was at the top of the obelisk recently at Washington, D.C., at the very top, they say, out of many one, like we see on our dollar bill, e pluribus unum. But as I mentioned, I finished off my trip by going to Washington, D.C. to bear witness to quite the event that was pulled off very well by the UFC, an MMA sporting company. And you can see here, this was on Friday when I went to the Washington Lincoln Memorial before the reflection pool that is 2,030 feet long. But while I was there, this was the scene. You saw a lot of lightning behind that 666 obelisk, okay? Listen up, America. The storm is coming. But as that event unfolded, after a little short break of a storm, they actually told everybody in the crowd that was waiting for the press conference to seek shelter because there was a lot of, lightning passing through. So I went back to the hotel, came back, and then took some photos, as you can see here, of quite the scene where you saw UFC MMA fighters coming out of the Lincoln Memorial before. It was quite the spectacle, is all I could say. And I must say this, okay? It is hard to hate on how well this organization, UFC, pulled this event off. They did a fantastic job. It was flawless. It was flawless from a production standpoint. I mean, they did a great job with every event. All right. On Friday, they had a press conference. On Saturday and Sunday, they had fan fests. And then on Sunday, they had an event where they had fights in front of the White House. Now, you might think that's crazy, but it actually played out wonderfully as a production on camera. I couldn't even believe it. Okay. But I was glad to say that I was there. Okay. This is a very unique one-of-one, never to be done again event. And I've been watching UFC for quite some time. So as a fan of the UFC and also one person that is keeping on top of everything, and I have been to the White House before, I said, I got to go see this. And you can see, this is my photo from the top of the Washington Monument, that obelisk. I was like 500 stories up, as you can see. Remember, it's 555 feet tall. So here I am at the top, taking a look over to the White House South Lawn. And this was the event where they had a big circle for the fans. And then the White House South Lawn was dedicated to serving an octagon cage for fights at the White House for the UFC. It was, this was crazy. I couldn't even believe what I was watching. I was like, they're really doing this. And I will say, like I said, the execution was impeccable. Now, as you can see, if I zoom in, you can see here's the White House. Here is the construction going on for the ballroom that they still have in construction. But you can also see they had a device here called the Claw that provided some cover and lighting for the octagon cage where you had fights going on right before the White House. And I will say, like I said before, it was quite the scene. It was amazingly put together. They had a Super Delta flyover between the Navy Blue Angels and the Air Force Thunderbirds. And I mean, you would think it's AI. Okay, it was so well done. That's all I can say. So now, going forward, let's now, as we conclude my trip, go to the news. Because also yesterday, for the date of the UFC fight before the White House, we also had it coincide with the 80th birthday of Donald J. Trump. And it's also Flag Day, by the way. So it was a little bit of everything. We had the UFC Freedom 250 card. We had Donald Trump's 80th birthday. And we also had Flag Day. And you can see here from Jesuit J.D. Vance on social media. He said, happy birthday to the GOAT. That means greatest of all time, but I know he's probably talking about this GOAT, okay? Looking forward to celebrating later today at the UFC fight. That is our Vice President, Jesuit J.D. Vance. Don't forget, for the inauguration on January 20th, which is 20/1, 201, like the Jesuit order, equals 201 with gematria. Here we have J.D. Vance wearing scarlet and Trump wearing purple, letting you know who runs the show, that great city of Revelation 17:18, the Vatican. Now, take note, this was said yesterday, and as of yesterday, like I told you, this was the scene at the White House. And I'm here to tell you, because I actually saw it live on Paramount Plus while I was driving back home from Washington in one day. But you could see here, we have a Super Delta flyover the White House, as you have the Claw providing lighting for the octagon cage where fights were happening. let me just tell you, from vision to execution, this was so well done, man. Kudos and shout out to the UFC, man. These guys, they need an award for what they did. I couldn't even believe it. I couldn't even believe what I was watching, because this was the scene. Here goes the White House with some UFC fights happening in the foreground, man. This is crazy. I mean, like I said, as a UFC fan, I have eyes to see. I was finishing up my road trip for America 250. So I went through all those national parks, and then I finished it off at the White House. Now, and that was my 3 weeks off right there, y'all. It was quite the trip. Thank you, Lord. And you can see here. Now, let's get to the news, because you know what? If you look at our Telegram, there was never a dull day, okay? I kept posting on our Telegram at Watchman_report. While I was away, I kept posting to our Telegram, but I continued to watch as to how much closer we are to Mohammed bin Salman doing the peace deal with Israel to start the tribulation. But here we are as of today on Monday, June 15th, from the Wall Street Journal, as they summarize it nicely here, saying U.S.-Iran reached deal to end the war. At the same time showing you that crazy scene from the White House. I mean, I can only imagine if you are a UFC fighter and you are fighting before this scenery. I mean, this is just like, what's going on? You had the fighters coming out and walking out of the Oval Office before they entered the octagon to fight. I mean, this was crazy. It was crazy. I can't even believe it that it happened. But either way, let's now continue, because also on Donald Trump's 80th birthday, before the fights started to happen, before the White House, you started seeing Donald Trump post the following on Truth Social. This was one of the first ones that caught my attention as of yesterday on his birthday for the UFC fight card. This is before he goes out for the fights. He's summarizing and finishing up this Iran deal, apparently. But here we have the following. The deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and simultaneously herewith authorize the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade. Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow. President Donald J. Trump. Now, he was doing this before he came out to the UFC fight card. And it didn't stop there, because we also got the following. It says here, this great deal. And I'm going to tell you that before we got to this deal, he was talking about tying the end of the Iran war to all the nations in the area joining the Abraham Accords. So on Friday, this coming Friday, I am going to be paying very close attention to any mention of the Abraham Accords within this deal, okay? Because we're going to cover that coming up in the report. But as you can see here, he says the following, and it should catch your attention, okay? This great deal will bring peace and security. Peace and safety. That is the same thing right there, because sudden destruction is coming. And it says here, to the whole region. The Middle East, huh? Peace in the Middle East, huh? Many presidents have tried to make peace with Iran, and all have failed before me. The leaders of the region have, for the first time, found a president who can help them achieve real peace. Listen, this is beast peace coming, y'all. With the opening of the strait upon the signing of the deal on Friday, for the purposes of mine removal, oil will flow on both sides again for the region and the world. Again, don't forget about the dream of Donald Trump with the Abraham Accords when he talked to the beast while in Saudi Arabia in May of 2025.
The Abraham Accords, and it's my fervent hope, wish, and even my dream that Saudi Arabia, a place I have such respect for, especially over the last fairly short period of time, what you've been able to do, but we'll soon be joining the Abraham Accords. I think it'll be a tremendous tribute to your country, and it will be something that's really going to be very important for the future of the Middle East.
Yeah, it's important to starting the tribulation when Saudi Arabia and the beast Mohammed bin Salman joins the Abraham Accords to confirm the covenant. So again, this is it, y'all. This is it. I have been on the record. Just look at my website. Look at all my reports since 2020. I have been saying the same thing like a broken record. Iran is the boogeyman for the Vatican in the Middle East to draw the region together to have the beast, Mohammed bin Salman, do the deal with Israel. I've been saying that since day one, since I've come out publicly. And here we are. We're here. This is it. This is it. We have to finish this war. It looks to be finished. Everything is signed. And the deal is around the corner, okay? And take note, on social media, we do see the following as well. An agreement for peace has been reached between Washington and Tehran. Thanks to Saudi Arabia for its tremendous contribution to this agreement between America and Iran. It's kind of quiet right now as to how Saudi is involved. But I look forward to hearing the details come this Friday. You best believe it. Now, with all that said, let's take a look at Donald Trump. I'm telling you, this man probably doesn't get any sleep, okay? The White House hosted the UFC event last night that ended at around 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? He then later gets on, like shortly after, gets on a plane and goes to France. And he lands in France. He must have slept on the plane. He lands in France today for the G7 summit, and he meets with Jesuit Mini Macron. And this is what we see in regards to him making commentary on the Iran deal. I mean, I'm telling you, this man, he is nonstop right now. Remember, we are on Operation Warp Speed to the end. All right, Trump is nonstop right now. He is working very hard to getting the beast to do the deal with Israel to start the end of the world. Check it out.
I'm very happy to say it's signed, the deal's all signed, and the strait is already partially opened. As you know, they're doing a little hunting for a couple of mines that they've already found, but it's essentially ships are starting to go out now. On Friday, it'll be completely opened. But I think a lot of great things are going to happen in the Middle East right now. And very importantly, the oil is plummeting down, and the stock market is shooting up like a rocket today, like record kind of numbers. And the oil has taken its biggest plunge, and we're into the low numbers, not quite back yet, Kevin, to the extent, but we're getting close to the numbers we were before it all started. And the main thing is that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. They fully agreed to that with strong policing powers, and they won't have a nuclear weapon, which is what it was all about, because they probably would have used it if they had it. We've done a great job, and hopefully it's going to be a good relationship, and we're going to get along. And if we don't, we go back to where we started, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. The Iran deal that we made is going to bring a lot of success to the world, because the oil was really clogged up there for a while. He would call me on occasion and say, "Come on, please, let's go with the oil prices." But the oil is coming way down, so I'm very honored by it. Well, it depends. JD's coming in for it. He was originally going to do it. I'll probably be gone by then. We're having dinner in a day and a half, right? We're going to be staying quite late. So I may be involved, I may not. I would say, I want it to be released because it's a very powerful document. It's not like the Obama document, which was just a terrible document. This is a very powerful document, and I want it to be released. So probably pretty soon. I would say sometime after Friday.
Mr. President, does the deal involve any sanctions relief for Iran? When would that go into effect?
No, it doesn't. Well, they have to. It's really a behavioral thing. If they do what they're supposed to do, that starts taking effect. I don't think we're going to need much help because we have an agreement where it's going to be open. And it's toll-free. We had a little argument on that. It's toll-free. So I don't think we're going to need much help. But I don't think it's a bad idea to have a ship or two up here from a few countries. You'd be a great country to do it, because you never know what happens. But I think it's going to be open, and I think it's going to be free sailing. We do want to see if we can straighten out the Lebanon thing, because it just seems to just never end. And that's a mini version of what we were doing, and it should not be tough.
All right, so there goes Trump being a little coy in regards to what the details are concerning this Iran deal that has been digitally signed. Like I said, we're going to get the details on Friday. Let's see. For me, all I care about is if it's going to include the Abraham Accords. But take note, there he is with Macron. I mean, almost immediately after the UFC fight card, he gets on a plane and goes to France, and there he is on the job yet again, pushing for the peace. Now, Macron, he also caught my attention while I was away, and this is what caught my attention. For the 3 weeks that I was away, I was taking note. On our Telegram, I was posting the following. Macron initially was shown to us to invite Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman the Beast and Qatari Emir to discuss Middle East crisis at the G7 that Donald Trump is at right now with Macron. Now, I started to follow up because I wanted to see. He sent an invitation to Mohammed bin Salman, but did Mohammed bin Salman accept the invitation? And is he coming to France to help deal with this Middle East crisis? And it was a no. Okay, so later it came out that Mohammed bin Salman, due to prior engagements, was not able to attend the G7. So you can see the beast is still laying low. But at the same time, you know what else caught my attention? Big time, is that Macron awards one of the highest honors in France, the Legion of Honor, to none other than this man that I have been pictured with when he came to Detroit, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, who I truly think at this point is probably coming back to finish the show. Okay? All right? We could be seeing that Pope Leo, the first American Pope, might not be in for long. Okay? Pizzaballa, to me, looks to be the final Pope and false prophet and earth beast that will aid Mohammed bin Salman into his kingdom by the middle of the tribulation. It says here, I'm telling you, man, when I saw this news, I was like, woo, this really caught my attention. Look at who Macron is honoring, okay? The French president honored the cardinal at the Élysée Palace, praising him as a tireless advocate for interreligious dialogue. Okay, I can't wait to see him doing interreligious things with the leader of the birthplace of Islam, Mohammed bin Salman. Okay, it says here, and peace in the Holy Land. So there is Macron, and there is the honor, the Legion of Honor. And by the way, why do they call it Legion, by the way? That reminds me of that devil from the Gospels. All right, we are Legion, for we are many, huh? Either way, there goes Mr. PP right there. Pier Battista Pizzaballa, PP. All right? Something tells me we'll be seeing more of him pretty soon. Either way, let's continue, okay? Let's continue. One of the other things that caught my attention while I was away is we had one of the chief of staff at the White House posting some very ominous things here, all right? We had Dan Scavino Jr. on X with this particular post of a wolf between a bunch of sheep saying, stay in the shadows until it's time. Okay? Sounds pretty dark to me, if you have eyes to see. But either way, he also said some very blatant stuff as to the times that we're in. He also said, every journey has an end. Truly, we're about to live the end of the world. That is a biblical phrase. The end of the world. That is what we're about to live. Now, at the same time, because of the announcement as of yesterday with this deal, a lot has not really come out in regards to Israel and their red lines that have to do with their own security against Iran, the boogeyman, and her terror proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. All right, so nothing has really come out in regards to this deal protecting the security of Israel. And with that said, that is why you're also seeing the following here. Israeli reactions to the Iran deal. Coalition and opposition members criticize failure to protect Israel's security needs. Again, don't forget, we are leading up to Israel becoming a cup of trembling. That is going to be a trend that's going to crescendo and climax at the second coming. But another thing that's going to happen at the second coming is Israel will truly be alone. They are going to be alone, and nobody is going to be left to defend them than the Lord himself coming out of heaven. Okay? So that is what we're building up to. Okay? A lot of people are telling you, is this the moment that Israel is going to be alone? No, it's not. That is quite literally for the second coming, so that the Lord himself can deliver Israel from her enemies that are going to surround Jerusalem. Right? You are going to have literal armies surrounding Jerusalem before the end, right before the second coming. So that's when it all gets fulfilled. Now, at the same time, let's take a look at a clip from Channel 14 on Israeli news that I have translated from Hebrew to English with the power of AI, so you can see what the sentiment is in Israel in regards to this deal. And I'm here to tell you, Donald Trump, he wants the deal with the beast and Israel. That's all he cares about right now, it looks like. Don't forget, it's his dream. And don't forget what he also said recently in Miami as of this year when it comes to MBS joining the Abraham Accords. He says it's time.
So the Middle East will be transformed, and the future of that region is never, I don't think it's ever looked brighter. You couldn't have, we did the Abraham Accords. I hope you're going to be getting into the Abraham Accords finally. Yeah, so will you please go back and explain? It's time now. Mohammed said, oh, yes, as soon as we do this, as soon as we do that. I said, Mohammed, we did that. Oh, yes, but we have a couple of other things. It's now time.
Notice, he looks to be working for Mohammed. All right? But Mohammed, we did this. But Mohammed, we did that. That is Trump talking to Mohammed bin Salman, the beast, as if he's his servant. All right? Remember, right now, you need to understand, Donald Trump is doing whatever he can possible as United States president to get the deal done to start the tribulation. The stage is already set. All right? We are literally, quite literally running out of time. Okay? It's all at the door now. And with that said, let's go to Israel, Channel 14, about this deal.
From my conversation with that insider, I can understand that there is great joy among the Revolutionary Guards because they themselves are saying so. This agreement is just one big show. We're not really trying to uphold it. We just want the money we'll get from it. The Revolutionary Guards, in a certain approach, believe that Trump doesn't care about anything except for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, rising markets and falling oil prices. And they even managed to understand that Trump isn't really interested in ballistics or proxies. Let's try to take advantage of Trump's lack of interest and use it to our advantage. According to that source, the message from Ahmad Vahidi, the commander of the Revolutionary Guards throughout the day, in order to organize the Revolutionary Guards, especially those opposed to the agreement, was, let's take all the money right away, and afterwards we'll do whatever we want. In other words, we won't pay any attention to the clauses in the agreement. And so that same source close to the Revolutionary Guards tells me Trump won't attack in August, 2 months before the midterm elections. The Revolutionary Guards have no intention of honoring the agreement. The Revolutionary Guards realize that the Strait of Hormuz is Trump's weak point. Soon we will see the next pressure point, the Bab al-Mandab Strait, where they will play exactly the same game.
So you can see the Israeli media ain't buying it, because not a lot has been said about this particular deal meeting their security red lines and keeping Israel safe, okay? Do you think they want another October 7th with a bunch of people dying? Well, listen, I'm here to tell you, we are headed to their final week, and it's going to end with the time of Jacob's trouble, which is going to be the greatest Holocaust, where Israel is going to be put into the fire, okay, to be refined. Now, again, as I was away, one of the other big time, this was probably, up until the Iran deal was announced yesterday, I will say this. This particular update caught my attention the most. Why? Because I have eyes to see. I know what the crux of the matter is. I know what the number one issue is that starts the tribulation. It's the beast Mohammed bin Salman doing the Abraham Accords to start the end of the world. Okay? That is what starts it all. And what caught my attention the most was this. On May 25th, while I was still away, it says Trump links Abraham Accords to Iran deal. Like I said yesterday, it was announced the deal's done. And I want you to take note of what he even said at a board meeting while at the White House with this being talked about. It says here, he talked about joining should be mandatory for 6 Muslim nations, tells Saudis and Qataris to go first. And if you have eyes to see, when Saudi joins the Accords, the end is going to begin in earnest. Okay? I already know Mohammed bin Salman is the beast. The number of his name is 666. He will be the 7th king of Revelation 17 for a short space, the first half of the tribulation. And then by the middle, 42 months later, he is killed and then resurrected when the 8th king Judas ascends from the pit to enter his sword-slain body. That is exactly how it's about to play out. I have the perfect understanding, and through faith we understand. But with all that said, take note, while I was away, I was able to catch this particular board meeting when it first came to my attention. And I want you to listen to it coming straight out of the mouth of Donald Trump. He wants this Iran deal tied to the Abraham Accords. Check it out.
Itself up. No, I would like to have the countries we're talking about with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and the others. We'd like to have them immediately join and Steve Witkoff is working on that with Jared and some others, but would like to have them join the Abraham Accords. It'll be historic if they do it. And I think they owe that to us, to be honest. I think, because that really would be a tremendous sign. And I think those countries owe it to us. Steve, are you going to get them to sign?
We're definitely pushing it.
I'm not sure we should make the deal if they don't sign. You want to know the truth. If they don't sign to join the Abraham Accords, I don't know that we have countries in there already. UAE, great countries, bold countries. And it's turned out to be so good, so effective. And so we're, requesting strongly that they join. It'll be great. It'll be great for Saudi Arabia. It'll be great for Qatar and Kuwait.
When you know what we know, that we so simply teach and preach here on the Watchman Report, that the beast is envious, and when he does the Abraham Accords, the end of the world will start. When you know that, what do you take from that clip that you just saw with Donald Trump? He says that he does not want to do this Iran deal unless Saudi Arabia joins the Abraham Accords. There it is. You just heard it. That is most definitely the number one thing that caught my attention while I was away. And now, as of yesterday, we have the Iran deal done. So I'm very interested now to see if we're going to get the Saudi joining the Abraham Accords. It's all here, guys. The real end is about to start. And take note, okay, like I said, Trump says the Iran deal has been signed, but the text is coming soon, most likely on Friday. And also, as of late, okay, reported to us as of yesterday, it says Trump seeks to expand Abraham Accords across Middle East. It says here, Department of Homeland Security Secretary outlined the Trump administration's vision for comprehensive Middle Eastern peace through an expansion of the Abraham Accords during a Sunday appearance on CNN. With that said, let's listen to the leader of the DHS mention the Abraham Accords here. Guys, this is it. This is it. Is your house in order? Are you ready for the end? It's about to really happen. It's really about to happen. I'm not kidding when I say this, okay? And later, at the end of the report, we're going to show you a song that pretty much says it. Spring, summer 26 is when the world is going to start to end. Check it out.
Joining me now, Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. Mr. Secretary, thanks very much for spending some time with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
I want to talk about the World Cup and security there, but first, there may be some breaking news with Iran this morning. This memorandum of understanding set to potentially be signed. It does include potential economic concessions to the Iranians in the event that they agree to some of our other terms. Are you at all concerned that those economic concessions could contribute to a heightened, more difficult security environment here in the United States?
I wouldn't call concessions. The president has made it very clear what he wants to do is tie the entire Middle East into the Abraham Accords. We understand that economic ties keeps countries from fighting among each other. When your economy is tied together, you're less likely to destroy your economy because of your dislike for someone's religion. And so the president has made a very good deal here. If the Iranian regime, and I say if, will accept it. The problem is Iranian regime is a regime you can't trust. They have a tremendous amount of rhetoric, public-facing, behind the scenes. They seem to try to be a little bit more cordial, if you can say that. But the truth is, no one could have this deal that's going to bring peace to the Middle East and hopefully to the world,
but you're confident
unless President Trump was the one leading it.
You're confident they wouldn't use that money to try to attack the United States?
Well, we're not talking about using the money. We're talking about tying their economy, allowing them to build their economy with the entire Middle East. Abraham Accords is the link to bringing peace to the Middle East. You can see how effective it's been with UAE and in Israel. You can see where they have had maybe not the accords signed, but where they've had economic ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel, and how it's brought down the temperature with Jordan and Israel, Egypt and Israel. If we're able to bring in other countries to it, we believe the economy is the only thing that can bring in peace to that region.
It's so obvious, guys. Remember, also, don't forget the driving factor there when it comes to economies. The love of money is the root of all evil. Notice how they're driving us to the deal that starts the end of the world, the deal with death, with the talk about money. Okay? Now, remember, be on the lookout for the wolves right now, because it's starting to get very obvious. All right, a lot of people are already suspecting Mohammed bin Salman to be the Antichrist. They're not proving it. They're guessing. They say it looks like he could be the Antichrist. I got him as one of the Antichrists. We here are proving it. Okay, we've already proven it. It's established by God. He's already fulfilled scripture of prophecy as the beast. And we're just waiting for that deal. It's around the corner. But you can see here, there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, like Joel Richardson, that we have renounced already. Just go to our website, type in Joel Richardson, and you can see how we have renounced this man, because he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. But recently, it's becoming so obvious that they have to work overtime to make you not think that this is it. Because recently, Joel Richardson, he put out a video saying, is the covenant on the horizon? And notice he likes to use the word horizon. That's another word they like to use, like supernova or singularity. That is the 666 sun god Horus rising from the dead. That's what that means. But notice it says here, the Abrahamic Accords. When you hear people saying the Abrahamic, that equals 56 with gematria. So that's why they like to say it like that. That is code for other wolves to know that they're in the wolf pack, okay? The Abraham Accords, that's what it's called. It's not called the Abrahamic Accords. But I know why he says Abrahamic, okay? He's not going to pull a fast one on me. But notice this, the Abrahamic Accords, Saudi Arabia, and the Third Temple. And I checked out this video a little bit, and he tries to say, don't believe people out there with all this sensationalism that the covenant is the Abraham Accords and Mohammed bin Salman is the beast. You know who he's talking about? People like me, okay? There's really no one else on the internet saying what I'm saying, because I've been around for 7 years and I follow a lot of channels and I have a bunch of Google alerts, okay? I am alerted every time a video is put on YouTube that says Mohammed bin Salman. I'm always checking what people are saying about Mohammed bin Salman. Any video that comes up, okay? I am aware of what anybody is saying about Mohammed bin Salman. And nobody, for about 7 years now, is saying what we're saying. All right? Take that to the bank. Now, while I was also away, don't forget, we had the first American Pope coming out with the encyclical on artificial intelligence. But while I was also away, one of my brothers, Jason, from the West Coast, he sent me the home screen for the Drudge Report. And it was quite ominous and quite blatant if you know what time we have ahead of us, especially by the middle of the tribulation. Because while the Pope was coming out with his encyclical on artificial intelligence, we also have the following here on the Drudge Report with this crazy image here of the long-haired Vatican Jesus, which is really Judas the Scarlet Beast that the whore Vatican rides of Revelation 17. And take note, on this particular day, it says, whistleblower, tech race to create machine God. Yeah, that's what's coming, y'all. the AI god, Judas, the son of perdition, after he ascends from the bottomless pit. All right? Don't forget, we're just going back to Babel, y'all. That which was is that which shall be, like we see in the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, again, don't forget, we're in the month of June, and that is the month that the Vatican dedicates to the wicked heart. Or that's the month that the Vatican dedicates to Judas in general. All right, but they also dedicate it to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which this right here is the long-haired son of perdition, Judas, the scarlet beast. There goes some scarlet right there. Remember, in Revelation 17, the woman is the Vatican, and that woman rides a scarlet beast. And that scarlet beast is the man of sin, Judas Iscariot, the son of perdition. And take note, they also dedicate June 12th to the Sacred Heart here. But I'm here to tell you, there's a reason for that. June 12th leaves 202 days left in the year. And Judas Iscariot, with the practice of gematria, of taking letters to numbers, that equals 202. Okay? That is why on this particular date, they dedicate it to the wicked heart of Judas, because it leaves 202 days and Judas Iscariot equals 202. And if you think that is a coincidence, go back to sleep. But another thing that caught my attention about this particular encyclical about artificial intelligence from the Vatican is they have a particular chapter here called Remaining Human. I'm here to tell you, not that many people are human anymore, because over 70% of the world got COVID-19, which is COVID AI. Remember, A equals 1, I equals 9, and what they got is COVID AI. And that mRNA, like Moderna said, changes everything, okay? A lot of people ain't human no more. But don't forget, even Pizzaballa, that reminded me of him. When I went to see him in Detroit as of last year, he even made a mention about remaining human. We gotta remain human. It's because not that many people are human anymore. We are living the Metropolis 2026 agenda that we saw in this film that is over 100 years old at this point, which shows you the devil is a planner. Okay, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Again, remember, AI is a working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders coming up for the second coming of his son Judas. Even him, Judas, whose coming is after the working of Satan, that's his father, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Again, even the minions are showing us that we have a big AI monster coming up. Okay? Don't forget, here goes this minion with one singular I, the AI right there, with the 666 on his head. But notice, this reminds me, this poster for an upcoming film called Minions and Monsters, where it quite literally even shows you them summoning up a devil. You can see all the AIs right there, kind of like we see with that band that we recently covered called Toxic Holocaust. You see the AIs right there? Do you see the cobra? Do you see the cobra with the fangs that look like a syringe for the COVID Operation Warp Speed injection with a DNA strand right there? All right? A lot of people got deceived to receive, man. Either way, you could also see here from the AI company, from the beast in Saudi Arabia. It is called Humane. It is a play on words. It also shows you AI is within man right now, which is in human. But notice, recently they had a podcast which had a very interesting title, if you have eyes to see. It says AI Epidemic. They're using a medical terminology, a medical term, epidemic, for AI. It says here, AI epidemic, the world isn't ready for. Don't forget, we got the 70% of the world going through the supernova singularity coming up. And a lot of people ain't ready for that one, okay? Again, y'all, can ye not discern the signs of the times? That's why we have mentions of aliens. We got COVID. We got transhumanism. We got the beast peace flags. We got AI. We got spaceships. We got Bitcoin currency, cryptocurrency. We got shooting stars, because it is the time of the end at the door, okay? Don't forget what the Lord said. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth. We are blessed to be watching as we do here on the Watchman Report. Again, don't forget, we're on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like I said, I am back now after a 3-week hiatus Much needed. Thanks, Lord. And now, don't forget, we are back on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the following platforms. You have absolutely no excuse to check us out live. But don't forget, we back up all our reports to our website at beingjustified.com. And if you follow us on Telegram, you already know. I was away from the Watchman Report for 3 weeks, but I kept posting every day. So follow us there for the news in real time that we collate for you here at Telegram at Watchman_report and on X at Being Justified, like our website. And if you want the latest content updates via email, we have a newsletter at beingjustified.com on the homepage or the blog. Just sign up for free. And don't forget, we have 4 feature-length films that can be streamed or downloaded for free at beingjustified.com/beast. But now, as we normally do, let us go to the gospel, because as an ambassador in Christ's stead, I'm called to also warn every man. And what's that warning? And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. That is the sun. It's above your head. Everybody knows the sun is hot, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven. And don't forget, hell and death is going to be cast into the lake of fire, which is the second death. If you don't want to go there, well, hearken to the gospel of the grace of God in the very pure word of God in English, the King James Bible, in Romans chapter 3, where it says, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified." That's what you want, the righteousness of God. Freely. Remember, it's a free gift, and not of works, lest any man should boast, like the book of Ephesians says. Being justified, like our website, being justified freely. It's a free gift. You cannot work your way to heaven. By his grace, through the redemption, that's forgiveness of sins, that is in Christ Jesus. That's why you believe in Jesus, whom God, that is the Father, hath set forth to be a propitiation. That means God the Father sent his only begotten Son forth to be made sin for us who knew no sin, through faith in his blood. Remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The substance is that blood, the precious sinless blood of God. Okay, that's the message of Jesus. Okay, what about Jesus do you believe? I believe in Jesus and I have faith in his blood like the Father, because that blood paid for my sins, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of God. To declare, I say, at this time, his righteousness, not our righteousness. Remember, by faith, it's by grace through faith that we get his righteousness imputed to our souls for free. It's a free gift. Okay, remember, the faith of Jesus is the righteousness of God who never sinned, that he, God, might be just. Remember, God is just. He already paid for sin. But if you want to reject this, you'll pay for your own sins yourself in the lake of fire. So be wise, because God is just and the justifier of him. That's where you prove your name is in the book of life right there. When you can point in Romans 3 and say, I am the him right here. What must you do? Which believeth, trust, or has faith. Those are all synonyms in Jesus. Believe in Jesus and have faith in his blood as payment for your sins. Do that until you die or the Lord returns. Okay, don't forget that. Remember, God wants to see the blood like we saw with the Passover. Because I am here to tell you, we don't have that many more reports to go, guys. All right, this looks to be the year. This truly looks to be the year. Once the deal happens, I am done. As an evangelist, there's no more Watchman reports, okay? And I'm going to go dark. Okay, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. Okay, I know I'm on some sort of list out there, that's for sure. Okay, but the fear of man brings a snare. So I trust in God. Otherwise, don't forget, MBS plus Israel peace deal equals the end. It's all here. It's around the corner. It's established by God. MBS is the beast. The number of his name is 666 twice. And when my Father does something twice like that, the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Remember, he became crown prince in 2017. That's short. And don't forget, the beast himself said,
for us, the Palestinian issue is very important. Every day we get closer.
Every day we are getting closer to him fulfilling Daniel 9:27. He was made prime minister on 9/27. And he knows it's all here, guys. When that deal happens, 3.5 years for the two witnesses, Moses and Elijah, that are then going to be killed killed by the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit in the middle of the tribulation, that enters the sword-slain body of Muhammad bin Salman, to then rule the world for 40 and 2 months. Okay, now this is the final prophetic 70th week, rightly divided. Okay, and if you want the details, go to beingjustified.com/Daniel. Otherwise, blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching, like we do here on the Watchman Report. If you are thankful for this information that I know you get nowhere else, feel free to do a one-time or a monthly donation at beingjustified.com/donate. Okay, I can tell you right now, if I was out here for money, I wouldn't be even asking you for donations. Okay. Most likely, another reason that I'm definitely going to have to go away is because once the deal goes down, that will free up my time to not be doing things of an evangelist, but to also most likely seek other income opportunities to help my household here. Okay, that's to keep it real, right? If I had to rely on donations to pay the bills, I'd be homeless. That's all I got to tell you. All right. Otherwise, don't forget to at least give us a like and also share the links. And if you want further edification, we have a free Bible school at beingjustified.com/school. I believe this is the only aspect of the website that I will have up for other people that are already in the school to continue in the school to store up sound Bible doctrine while we're still in the tribulation. Otherwise, the rest of the website is going down, but I might just only keep the school up for those scholars that are currently in it. If you want to join, go to beingjustified.com/school, where we teach the Bible verse by verse, according to the commandment of the everlasting God, so that you can have Christ formed in you. Otherwise, this will keep you safe. Do not forget this. Justification is in Romans 3. The all-authority written word of God in English is the King James, and we read that book according to his commandment in Romans 16 to be established in the faith. Now, what I want to do here is something different, because I am tired. I am absolutely tired of getting copyright strikes with platforms like Nazi YouTube. So as of today, we are going to try something new, where I am going to selectively cut off the stream on all my YouTube channels. Okay, so to all my YouTube people, if you want to continue watching some of these videos that I'm about to play that's showing you the times that we have ahead of us, I encourage you to go to our Rumble at rumble.com/Watchman Report. This is going to be your final warning, because as of right now, I'm going to end the stream on YouTube because I'm about to play copywritten material, and I do not want a copyright strike to then be blocked for 2 or 3 weeks. All right. So with that said, farewell to my YouTube audience, because we're going to now continue for a couple videos here on some stuff that also caught my attention as we head to the end while I was away. So I'm about to play some videos that are copywritten. So for my YouTube audience, farewell.